Welcome, is Marcus with Dynasty Football Dads. We have a Superflex mock draft for you here. It's going to be right over here on this part of the screen. This is Superflex. This is going to be a 12-team league, and I'm going to go through a little bit of the strategy, and then we're going to be doing, I'll finish up the Dynasty ranking stuff with wide receivers and tight end strategy here early next week. Just didn't get to it quite yet. It's been a busy week. I also get to go to the casino with some buddies here this weekend, so I'm not going to be doing a video this weekend. I'm just not going to have time because we're going to be too busy doing some sports gambling and stuff like that. So the first thing I always tell people, and you can see right off the bat, is that 7th pick really is an important pick to get yourself a quarterback. I was between Lamar and Dak in this situation here, and I chose Dak. But either one I think would have been a great decision here. You have to get yourself a solid quarterback and then build around it, because really, if I take a Najee Harris there, or Javonte Williams, it looks appealing until you go to the second round, and then that Dak turns into Russell Wilson, and that Dak turns into like Trey Lance. It's just the drop-off starts falling off really quickly here. I want one of the elite 7 quarterbacks. All right, that's my biggest goal, and if you don't know what those quarterbacks I'm talking about, I did that video, what was that, Tuesday, Wednesday, something around there. You'll find it. It's a couple days ago. It wasn't too long ago. And then I went with kind of best player available, giving the nods to the running back and quarterback position still. And if, let's say, a Pitts fell or Mark Andrews fell into my lap, I was going to definitely take that. My 4th round pick, as you can see, I don't think that that's going to happen, but who knows? Who knows? Well, this is just what happened in this mock. And so CMC, I took CMC over Breece Hall. I had to take CMC. He's 25. This goes with my team roster so far. I know there's only one pick with Dak, but these guys are in their prime, and CMC is a cheat code if he's healthy. There's a big asterisk if he's healthy, and he hasn't been healthy. Also, if he plays a couple games and starts going off on a tear, I think that people might go, okay, he's back. CMC's back, and I can trade him for the King's ransom that he could be worth. And then the 3rd round, I was actually honestly between 3. I was between CMC, Breece Hall, and Mixon came around. And Mixon, I had to take Mixon there. There were some quarterbacks that I liked, but the value dropped. I was between Mixon and Kittle, and it's funny because then the 4th round came around and Kittle fell, and I immediately took Kittle there. I mean, it was a tough decision between Mixon and Kittle in the 3rd round, which I think Kittle's going to go earlier than the 4th round. This is just wishful thinking. And if Kittle did not go in the 4th round, just so you guys have an idea of what my thought process would have been, is that's where my second quarterback would have been taken. I would have taken that a little bit. The Justin Fields or something along those lines. I would have taken that quarterback who's kind of been in that territory. I would have taken a quarterback, and then I would have just taken a tight end later in the draft. After the first 3 or 4, after Andrews, Kittle, Andrews, Kittle, Pitts. I mean, there's a kind of that tier of like Kelsey, Hawkinson, and then so like maybe I'll have one of those guys, maybe not, and then it's a huge drop off after that. Then it's like I'll just take a Dalton Schultz, or I'll take a Gesicki, or I'll take whatever tight end is 10, 11, or whatever there later down. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not going to take Darren Waller. I'm not going to take the. I'm not going to take Noah Fant. I'm just gonna wait in the back and kind of figure out what tight end there. And I know that that's going to be a weakness on my team, and that's okay. Then I can try to start working and trading for that. Then it was like, okay, I'm between. There was a couple quarterbacks I liked left on the board. There was Tannehill left on the board. There was Matt Ryan. There was Zach Wilson. There's I almost said Christian Kirk Cousins. And I chose Kirk Cousins because my team with Kittle, Mixon, CMC, and Dak needs that safety, needs the guy that's going to produce at a high-end QB2 level. There's Kirk Cousins for you. Skol. And I love having a Viking on my team. You know what? Honestly, I don't care what people say. I root for the Vikings, so I like to have a Viking on my team if possible. If possible. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'm not going to... Like, I had CMC. I had the choice between, I think it was Mixon or maybe it was CMC and Dalvin Cook. One of the two. I had a chance to get Dalvin Cook, but the value I would rather have there. Kirk Cousins was a value at where I got him. And right back around, Zach Wilson was still there after, 12 picks later. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to take the upside now. Tua had gone, and there was a couple other quarterbacks. I think Tua was one of them, and there was another quarterback in there, I can't remember who it was, that was taken. So they were taken into that gap there. And so I was like, I'll take Zach Wilson. I will take him here. This is a supreme value. I don't think, again, that some of these players aren't. I think quarterbacks are going to get, in mocks, people kind of play a little safe and they play it a little like not as risky. And then when the actual draft happens, quarterbacks get taken earlier. People get desperate for quarterbacks quick, especially like that would be my third quarterback. I mean, Tom Brady went even late. Honestly, if I didn't get Zach Wilson here, Tom Brady and Ryan Tannehill were also still available. They would have been options as well, either this round or next round. And then I was like, okay, I desperately need wide receivers. Wide receivers is where I'm going to lean towards. The running backs were really starting to thin out. So I did go Cortland Sutton. I had a lot of different options between Tyler Lockett and a bunch of rookies. And with Treylon Burks and Drake London and whatever, yes, those wide receivers are nice, but my team needs somebody that is going to produce at that wide receiver 2 level this year, and Cortland Sutton could be that guy. And then I went back to Juju, and I hate Juju, but you know what? Sometimes the hate has gone too far, and I got to take a player where the value's at. And again, Juju, I think, will be a sufficient fill-in when Sutton and Godwin. And so I only showed the first 10 rounds here. I did the last player I did take was Kareem Hunt because I think he's a really good fill-in and really a steal. He's getting older, but to be that backup to CMC and Mixon, I think is very, very important here. And then after this, it's like I got my tight end, so I'm going to be still stacking up on these running backs and wide receivers. After this, you won't see it, but after this, that's where I'm going to be going. And any quarterback that I feel like it has any type of value that drops, that's going to be what I'm going to be doing. Running back, wide receiver, and any quarterback that drops in value. I'll throw Malik Willis, maybe drafted in there. I'll throw maybe a backup. Maybe I'll get, trying to think. I got Zach Wilson, Kirk Cousins. I mean, way down the road, I'd play. Maybe you could take, Kellen Mond. But I'm trying to think of Kyle Trask. I throw maybe a Kyle Trask. Maybe I draft him later, like just kind of as a deep flyer. But anybody that drops, even if it's 1 year value, Tom Brady. But Tom Brady didn't go this far. He was already drafted. I am going to be taking Mitchell Trubisky is another option. Like I'm taking that as like, hey, like I have this stopgap as a 1 year player that I can try to dump and trade again for better, and I can package. If Trubisky comes out and does well, which I think is way in the realm of possibilities, I take him plus Sutton, go get myself a better wide receiver. I take him plus Sutton plus my first, go get myself a lot better wide receiver. So that's my method behind this kind of startup. I'm going for now. I feel like that window is there. Chris Godwin gets hurt, so we're going to need a wide receiver for the beginning part of the year. So even a Russell Gage a little bit later, because maybe Russell Gage will offset the Chris Godwin injury. So Chris Godwin maybe is not there the first 6 weeks or 10 weeks or whatever it might be in this upcoming season. Russell Gage might be the wide receiver 2 on that team for a little while. So that would be a potentially good fill-in. Again, every team is different. Every team has their own roster makeup. This is what I would do if I was in a Superflex startup. Again, I'm kind of excited. I'm excited about this fake team that, again, I'm just going to keep mocking and keep doing different things. So, because that's what you do. You try to mock, and one of the biggest strategies is try to figure out what makes you like your roster the best. Where do you feel like I have no holes on paper? I feel like my biggest hole, again, wide receiver in this roster. Right? And that's the hole that I'm okay with having leaving Dynasty. And most people go, well, that is the argument against it is that is the position that potentially has the most longevity and has players that have 7, 8, 9 years of being wide receiver 1. Yes, but they are also the difference between wide receiver 10 and wide receiver 30 is usually the smallest gap. Then from QB 8 to 30 or QB 10 to 30 and running back 10 to 30, like the wide receiver gap is the smallest. And honestly, like people devalue wide receivers. You see them go later in Superflex rookie drafts. That's what you just see happen. Running backs and quarterbacks go way ahead. Even Kyle Pitts was shot up through the boards and because he was a valuable tight end, and those are unique and rare and harder to get. People always have wide receivers. I have had championship teams with Cole Beasley, and I've had championship teams with Hunter Renfrow last year. And you just fill in the name, and you find players that can fill in these wide receiver gaps for periods of time in your roster. It can happen, and I know you can do it. So, again, this is Marcus Dynasty Football Dance. Peace out. Have a good weekend. We'll see you Monday.